Hi everyone, Angela here. If you don't like cutting out pattern pieces and taping them all together, you can have this pattern printed out in the larger A0 size. For the PDF, make sure to print out at 100% letter size and check with the 1-inch square. You can find the link for this pattern and the full tutorial down in the description below. For each row, overlap the trimmed pages along the dotted lines and tape together. Then trim along the tops and tape the rows together. Carefully cut out all the pattern pieces and then cut small triangles for all the notches. Once everything is cut, group together the pieces that you need to cut out of fabric and the pieces that you need to cut out of lining. I even like to highlight the lining pieces. For this project, I'm using denim jeans in dark blue, medium blue, and also light blue. You can use any fabric that you'd like. I split my jeans along the outside seam just up to the waistband so that I can open it up flat. I don't cut through the waistband so I can use it for another project. First I cut out all the squares and then I cut out the rest of the outer bag pieces from the dark denim. You can mark it out first before cutting to make sure they all fit. Also, don't worry about marking any of the notches just yet. Once cut, clip it together with the pattern so that it's easy to identify. To give the bag some body, I'm using extra loft fusible fleece. It looks like dense felt with the glue on one side. Cut for the outer pieces. Use heavy, non-woven fusible interfacing with the glue on one side and cut for the facing and zipper panels. I'm using quilting cotton for the lining. Cut out all the lining pieces, all the notches, and the marks for the pockets. With the glue side up for all the fleece and interfacing pieces, carefully place the wrong side of the matching fabric on top and press together. Stack together and then place the pattern back on top to cut out all the notches. Making sure the notches match along the edges, put right sides together and clip the short ends. Repeat for pieces G. For pieces E, there's double notches on one end. Put right sides together and only clip together that end. For the bag straps, fold in half lengthwise with wrong sides together and press a crease down the center. Open up. Bring the outer edges to the center, leaving a tiny gap, and press. Fold in half again, matching the folded edges, press, clip if you need to, and repeat with the other strap. The two loops are optional. With wrong side up, fold the outer edges to the center so that they meet, and press. Clip all the squares together as shown in the pattern before stitching. I'm using the Brother Innov-is A150. The link for this and the tools I use are down in the description below. For this project, instead of using regular sewing thread, I want a little bit of sheen to it, so I'm going to be using the Hemingworth Embroidery Thread. Now, if you're wondering if you can use embroidery thread for regular sewing, yes you can, and I'll leave a link down below where Gary from Echidna Sewing talks about embroidery thread versus sewing thread. These little spools come with a clear cap that stays on while sewing to protect the thread from dust and also to assist with smooth delivery. The cap traps the thread to keep it from unraveling while in storage. To sew all the inner seams, I keep the stitch length at 2.5. We'll be sewing the squares together using a scant 1/4 inch seam allowance. I sew all of these seams back tacking at the start and finish. You can actually skip the back tacking, just make sure you don't pull the ends of the seam apart. Also check that your seam is just shy of that 1/4 inch. Once all the seams are sewn, separate and press flat. If you're worried about burning your fingers, use a finger press to separate the seams. Clip the rows into position with right sides together, carefully matching the seams. Stitch all the rows together again with a scant 1/4 inch seam. Use an awl to keep your fabric in place, and if you push down on the seams, you can get really close to the needle so that the seams don't shift. Once all the seams are sewn, pull them taut, separate the seams, and press them all open and flat. Mark out and trim down each piece. With the fusible fleece, have the glue side up, place the wrong side of the patchwork on top, matching all the edges, and press together. Repeat with the other piece. I'm setting the machine for a zigzag stitch with a maximum width of 7 and a stitch length of 3. Zigzag over all the seams. What's nice about the zigzag is that if your seams aren't perfectly matched up, the zigzag will hide that a bit. With the right sides up, center the loops between the presser foot and zigzag the entire length. You can also just edge stitch each side, but the zigzag will enclose the raw edges underneath. When done, switch back to a straight stitch. Trace out both sides and then stitch on the inside of the line. Stop at the top notch, fold one of the loops in half with wrong sides together and stitch along the edge. Continue stitching all around and the other piece. Trim both pieces right on the lines, cut out the curved corners and the small notches. With a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance, stitch the one seam on piece E with the double notches. Using the same seam allowance, stitch both seams on pieces G and H. Then press open all the seams. With right sides together, match the bottom notch on one of the quilted pieces with the bottom seam. Clip all around, matching the edges and the notches. Then repeat on the other side. Stitch both sides with a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance, backtacking at the start and finish. Use the awl around the corners to help keep those edges in place. Turn the bag right side out and press all the seams in towards the sides. With right sides together, place the top band over the bag. Clip all around, matching the notches and seams. Stitch all around with a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. There's no need to backtack, just overlap the stitching about an inch at the end. Turn up the band and press all around. Edge stitch both sides of the straps. On both sides, position the ends of the straps between the double notches at the top and clip in place. Stitch the ends 1/4 of an inch from the edge. With right sides together, clip the facing to the top of the band and stitch all around. Flip up the facing and press all around the seam. Fold the seam so that it's right in the center, clip and top stitch all around. If you're finding this video helpful, make sure to like, share, subscribe, turn on all notifications, and leave a comment below. You can also become a member. As always, I'd love to know where in the world you're watching from. With wrong side up, fold up one end of each zipper panel 1/4 of an inch and press. I have an 18-inch size 4.5 zipper with an extra long zipper pull. Open it up and turn it over to the back. To prepare the top, fold down the top edge so that it lines up with the side and you have a 45-degree angle. Now fold straight down below this edge so that the side edges meet up and the top edge is slightly higher than the metal stopper. Give it a press if you like, clip to hold in place, and then repeat with the other side. With the folded end on the right-hand side, place one of the lining pieces down, right side up. Have the top of the zipper 3/8 of an inch down from the raw edge, and line up the zipper with the side. With right sides together, place one of the fabric pieces on top, making sure to match the folded edges. Carefully match the sides and top edges and clip together. Then repeat for the other side. Stitch right against the zipper teeth and pivot across the top. Starting from the other end, repeat for the other side. Trim both corners, being careful not to cut any of the stitching. Turn the panels right side out and use a point turner or a knitting needle to push out the corners. Match the side and bottom edges and clip together. Give the seams along the zipper teeth a press on both sides. Stitch close to the side edges to hold in place first. Now for both panels, use the left side of the presser foot as a guide to top stitch the other 3 sides. Cut the zipper just above the bottom stopper so that it's about 18 inches. For the zipper tab, fold piece K in half with right sides together, matching the shorter edges. Stitch together using a 1/4 inch seam allowance, back tacking at each end. Press the seam open with your fingers and keep it in the center. Turn the zipper over to the back, insert it into the zipper tab, and match the edges. Then stitch the ends together with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Pull the tab over so that it's right side out. Turn over to the front and fold the ends in a 1/4 inch. Edge stitch all around an 1/8 inch, back tacking at the start and finish. You can leave it finished like this or add 2 diagonal stitch lines as well. Just sew them inside the edge stitching. Pull out the top facing to attach the zipper panel. With the center notches matching and the edges of the panel between the outer notches, put right sides together, matching the edges, and clip in place. Then repeat on the other side. Stitch both panels to the facing close to the edge to keep it in place. With these seams turned upwards, pin all around vertically like this. Position the bag so that the seam is in line with the left side of the presser foot. Stitch all around, back tacking at the start and finish. Fold the top of the large pocket twice at the notches and press. Fold in half, matching the sides, and press a crease down the center. Clip the top if you need to, and edge stitch across the fold. Fold in half at the notches with right sides together. There's 2 notches at the bottom for the opening. For the smaller pocket, stitch with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Stitch all around, back tacking at the start and finish, and at the notches to leave that opening. Trim all the corners, being careful not to cut any of the stitching, then press all the seams open. Turn right side out and use a point turner or a knitting needle to gently poke out the corners. Give it a good press and then top stitch a 1/4 inch across the top. Position the pocket corners onto the lining with the markings and pin in place. On each side, mark a line about 1 1/8 inches from the edge and pin in place. You can make these pockets any size. Fold the second loop in half with wrong sides together and clip the edges on the side notch. Place the large pocket onto the right side of the other lining piece, match the side and bottom edges, and clip in place. Stitch close to the edge to hold in place, and then stitch down that middle crease, back tacking at the start and finish. Edge stitch the smaller pocket around the sides and bottom, back tacking at the start and finish. Edge stitch the loop in place, and then stitch the pocket lines, also back tacking at the start and finish. With right sides together, clip both sides to the centerpiece. On this side with the pen pocket, we need to leave an opening either on the bottom or along the side. I'll leave the opening on the bottom, and it should be as wide as your hand or about 6 inches. I'll just double up the clip so that I'll know where to stop and start the stitching. Stitch both seams with a 3/8 inch seam allowance, back tacking at the start and finish, and at the double notches for the opening. Press the side seams open about halfway down and the seam allowances at the opening. You can customize the pockets by making them the same on both sides or divide them up however you like to suit your needs. Flip the bag so that the edge of the facing is at the top. Insert the bag into the lining. Match all the notches and seams and clip all around. Stitch using a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. There's no need to back tack, just overlap to finish. Carefully turn the bag right side out, then match the folds of the opening and edge stitch it closed. You can also close this by hand with a slip stitch. Push in the lining and then press this top seam all around. To give you an idea what fits inside, I'm putting in a couple of pens, cream, my eyeglasses, my wallet, a water bottle, my iPad Pro, and there's still room for a throw blanket. I really hope you enjoy making this bag. Thanks again for the support and happy sewing!